بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وبارك وسلم عليه. Salamun alaikum, dear viewers. I'm talking about today, I'm going to talk about the recent Iran-Saudi agreement brokered by China. It has been a while. I think a couple of months back it happened, but I would have done it earlier, but because of the fasting and the Ramadan and all this, I could not do it. Actually, I tried, but I could not do it. But now, I want to talk about this. The first thing I would like to say is there are happenings, there are events, and you can say something is not important or something is important. At the end of the day, there is some relativism in it. Something may be important to you, but not to someone else. So we have to first see where does its importance lie. The reason I am talking to you now, I am making a vlog here, is mainly that I want to create some awareness of the day and age we are living in, of the things happening in this day and age. This is an absolutely important matter, that we should have a very enhanced awareness of the day and age, of the times we are living in. We must be knowing our present. Our present has a history. In academic circles, some people call it history of present, and it's a bit of controversial term, but I myself like it, history of present. The present has evolved from somewhere, so there's a history to it, and the more aware we are of our present, the more consciously we can walk into the future. That won't happen to us. But if we are not fully aware, if we don't have an enhanced, and if we don't have a proper awareness of this, then things happen to us as surprises. Because we are not aware of where we are, then where we end up there, and it comes to us as a surprise. Now this is something very close to my heart, to create the awareness of the present. And let me also just tell you, I'm working on it, and I'm writing a book on it, which will be, inshallah, maybe available by later this year, where you will see a detailed discussion about it. But here, I was just referring to this agreement, Iran-Saudi agreement, and why I am interested and why I am making this vlog. Now, a lot has been said about it, and we need not go into a critical appraisal of that. A lot has been said, and analysis and commentaries and all this. What I would like to do is, I will bring up its main aspects, which, as I said, which are important for the purpose of creating a proper awareness. For that purpose, I will bring up some main aspects of it. And I will be talking actually, say there will be 4 headings, 4 topics, which which I will be under which I will be making my point. This will be, this is just something I want to tell you about the structure of my talk, how I will go about. The first thing is the China brokered it, so the Chinese role, let us say, Chinese role. And it has been talked about, and it has been very much highlighted that China did it. So this has to be dealt with. The second, I was saying headings. This is the first heading, Chinese role. The second is that we often call it Iran-Saudi deal or agreement or whatever. And this is made out to be an Iran-Saudi conflict which has ended. Now, what is this? What is the substance? What does it mean? If you say India, Pakistan have become now friends, they have reconciled, or they have made an agreement, and they had hostile relations. Now they have resolved their conflict. One would say, okay, the conflict was about Kashmir, and they might have done something about Kashmir. It's understandable. But here, if you say Iran-Saudi conflict and the conflict now ending, what do I understand from it? What was the conflict about? Iran and Saudi Arabia were very close to each other in the time of Shah of Iran. What is? Do they have something, a disputed territory, or what was it about, the conflict? So I will talk about it. That was the second heading. And then I will in talking about this, that what is the conflict and what was it about? You can either say there was no conflict, or if you say yes, there was a conflict, but then when you say what was it about, that will be it will be a third heading where I will briefly explain what is the conflict, how we should understand it. When we say Iran-Saudi agreement, we can't understand it unless we know what was the conflict. When we say what was the conflict, then we can say what can be the agreement. Then what I will do is I will come to the and let me add here right now that when I say what was the conflict, I'll be basically talking about the Islamic Revolution, and that's a huge topic. But what I will be doing is I will be mainly saying I will be bringing out some main things regarding what the Islamic Revolution means in 3 geopolitical contexts. I will identify 3 geopolitical contexts where I will try to find out the significance and the practical meaning of the Islamic Revolution. Those 3 geopolitical contexts are: one is global, what Islamic Revolution meant to the world at large. The second is Muslim world, what Islamic Revolution meant to the Muslim world in general. And the third is particularly Saudi Arabia, what Islamic Revolution meant to the Saudi kingdom. Not Saudi Arabia, I should use here Saudi kingdom, the other Saudi kingdom. That will be how I will be explaining the Iran-Saudi conflict. And the last thing, what I will talk about is, once I have put all these things before you, then you can perhaps make up your mind. I mean, I will leave it to you that given these things, what I will have put before you is, given these things, you can then decide that who stands to benefit from this agreement. And in that, you can perhaps grade the benefit. You can say number one, number two, or number three, because there are three parties in this: China, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. You can perhaps grade, or you can say all the three benefited equally, or whatever. I mean, that I leave to you, but I will give you my mind in this vlog. And I will say, and let me at the very beginning tell it to you, I will say that Iran is the biggest beneficiary from this agreement. China is second, and Saudi Arabia is third, if at all. I'm not sure if Saudi Arabia has benefited, but if it has, well, third. But the first two I have mentioned. Now let's come to the subject. And as I said, Chinese role is the first topic, first heading, under which I want to say something. The Chinese role, the common media narrative, as it has gone out, is that China has made an entry into the West Asian politics, into the Middle Eastern politics, and as if it has pushed back America, as it has displaced America. It was America, now it is China. If it is understood in such black and white terms, I will say it is, yes, I'll have to use the term, it is nonsense. This has not happened. America is very much there. And when I say America, I don't say the government of United States of America. I'm not saying a particular country, a particular army, a particular government. I'm talking about the West. I'm talking about the Western civilization. I'm talking about the modern civilization in which all of us are embedded. I'm talking of that which originated somewhere around 16th century and which has been politically, economically, militarily evolving, and which in the course of which we saw British Empire, a huge empire, which then expired, but the British Empire, a sort of in-house change took place. The political capital, the political military capital shifted from London to Washington. Now, I'm talking of this Washington. I'm talking of the political military leader of the current civilization, modern civilization. I'm talking of that when I talk of America. And about that, I'm saying that it has gone nowhere. It is there. Now, how do we interpret China brokering the deal, China coming in a region where America would, where America was sort of omnipresent, present everywhere? What sense we make of that? There are easy ways of understanding this, and this is absolutely, I will be referring to facts which all of us know. It's nothing. It's not a huge, analytical job to do it. It's simple. The simple thing is, from the side of Saudi Arabia, let's take that side first. From the side of Saudi Arabia, they are looking for more security arrangements. America has been their security guarantor, but as things go, as the importance of oil does not remain that important as it was. America has its own oil, and actually America now, United States, USA, exports oil. So the dependence is not that much. Dependence is not there, and I was saying from the side of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is, they think they must diversify their alliances, and they must look for more allies who can guarantee the security. This has happened particularly after what happened to Aramco some years back. A massive blast, and that reduced the production of oil by 50%. And Saudis were up in arms. They were saying, where is the American security? And that raised serious questions about how should they be depending on America for security. So since then, they have gone to Russia, they have gone to India. India's National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, had high-level meetings with Mohammed bin Salman also. So they are diversifying their security arrangements, and Chinese entry has to be viewed in that perspective. China is also one of that, and also, as I will refer to it. I'll be referring to it again, but one more thing is that China is very important in the current vision of Saudi rulers, the way they want to economically diversify, not depending on oil only. They want to diversify and diversify their economy. China is very important there also. And from the side of America, from the side of United States, let me tell you, it's not something that happened yesterday. It has been there for some years. This thinking was there. Obama wrote an article in about 2015, I think, in Atlantic. And Obama clearly said to Saudis that, look, you can't have free rides. This is Obama's term. He used the term free rides. By that he meant that America will not be always protecting you, and you have to take up security responsibilities. And there was a huge furor on this, the Saudi veterans, they reacted to it angrily. They said, what the hell are you talking about? We have been serving you, we have been so loyal to you, and now... But anyway, they got the message that as I was saying, they got the message that they can't take America as the sole protectors. They have to look elsewhere. So from America's point of view, they had, as China started growing and growing economically, America had to sort of shift its focus from this side. This side means from the Atlantic side. Atlantic side, America connects with Europe and the Middle East. America shifted its focus to the other side, which is Pacific. And it started building up alliances against China. There are 2-3 alliances. One is that Quad, which includes India also. The other is, which does not include India, which is called something, which includes Australia, Canada. These 5 eyes, this Anglo-Saxon sort of. So they are ganging up against China to contain China, and this side they are now not caring about much. Actually, the Atlantic Alliance was getting weaker day by day. It was only after this Putin did the blunder of this Ukraine that the alliance has again. It's again becoming active. Otherwise, American attention lies elsewhere. But as I said, these are some ways. This perspective in which we should see Chinese entrance there. And as I said, this was the environment which made Chinese entrance possible, because China is in a position to do this. But let me again say, and I will finish this part of my talk with this, that United States is very much there. By saying very much there, I mean that this West Asia, the Middle East, Arab world, all this is a creation of the colonial powers, of the colonial history. And in that, there were 2 main peak things. Very, very main 2 things. One was the establishment of the Saudi kingdom. The Ibn Saud was in league with the imperial powers, and it was the region Hijaz, but he was given this charge of Saudi Arabia, but that was not a big deal. The others, someone got Iraq, someone got Jordan and all that. We are not going into that, but the big thing, the huge thing, which I can only refer to, I can't explain, but I hope I should be able to create an alert in you by bringing it up. And that is the main thing. As I said, 2 things. One thing was this establishment of this Saudi kingdom. Not just that they were given the charge, they got a country. Not that, but they were made custodians of the Haraman. The Haraman is in their custody. Hajj is in their custody. And to quote our very dear teacher, leader, Dr. Kalim Siddiqui, who passed away a I think in 1996 or 7. He was the director of Muslim Institute here in London, and there was once a Hajj conference here. I think, a Future of Haramain conference was here. I too participated in that, and Dr. Siddiqui said a beautiful thing about the Hajj. He said, under the Ali Saud, Hajj has become a spiritual picnic. Now, Hajj is the core, it is one of the pillars of Islam. It's not a routine, it's not a video game that go to throw stones at Satan. No, it's a part of our actual life. We have to, it has been a part of our civilization. But the custody of Haramain being given to the people who have been propped up by the colonial powers. This is a very serious thing, and this was one thing. And the other thing was the creation of Zionist entity in 1948. Now, when I say America is there, what I am saying that these two things are still there. Haramain is in the custody, and I call it occupation of Ali Saud, who are somebodies, who are. It's not in charge of Islam. It's in charge of someone who have been planted. And the Zionist entity. Both these things are there. So, should we say America is gone? It's very much there. Yes, things are happening, things are changing, good things are happening. Resistance politics is evolving, and all this, I will talk about it in a moment. But I'm saying that it's not that simple that China is there, America gone. No. America is there, and what has happened actually, and I think I should have said it before, what has happened actually is that China, because of its economic might, China has been asking for a place on the high table. China has been asking for that. I'm so economically, China is so much powerful. China should have a role in global politics. China, Russia, they have been asking for it, and now India is also asking a place on the high table. And the Western establishment, the colonial establishment, they are so cunning, so clever, they will definitely give them. They are giving them a space. Okay. Recently, I think 2 or 3 months back, Joe Biden had a telephonic talk with Xi Jinping. It was fixed for 1 hour. 1 hour. It was supposed to be for 1 hour, but it took 3 hours. They talked for 3 hours. So, this is just they are giving space to China. The ultimate strengths of how to manage the security and the global order remains with the colonial West, but because they are asking for the place. China, Russia, they are not angry with the West on any value system. They are not challenging its value system or its ideology or whatever. I will come to it in a moment. But they are basically complaining about their place. If they are so powerful economically, what is their place? Why America should have it all alone? Why West should have it all alone? So they are getting a space, and China, and that is how we should look at this Chinese thing. Now, coming to the other thing, I have to be cautious about the time. But coming to the other thing, which is the Iran-Saudi conflict, it's made out to be as if, as I said, it is there was a conflict, and the narrative as it is being put out there, it is as if Saudi Arabia was the leader of Sunnis and Iran Shia. Now it's a Shia-Sunni reconciliation, or it was Shia-Sunni conflict. Now this is absolutely, it has to do nothing with truth. This is not true. This is not what has happened. Saudi Arabia is not the leader of Sunnis, and the Iran is not Shia in the what should I say, in the as we grossly understand from the term Shia. It's not that. It's more than that. But so this does not really make, and I told you at the beginning, if someone tells me, I mean, when you say something, it should mean something. Then you should understand something from some word. If you say Iran-Saudi conflict, now it has ended, they have reconciled, or they are now friends, they were enemies, they are friends, one should understand actually what has happened. So let's have a brief, let's take a brief view of that. It is because it requires some detail, but let's briefly go into it. And when we touch this topic, what comes up is the Islamic Revolution. Islamic Revolution of Iran that took place in 1979. It's called Islamic Revolution, and some people call it Nahzat Khomeini, Imam Khomeini's movement. I also sometimes love to call it Imam Khomeini's movement, the movement created by Imam Khomeini, and as a first success of the movement was the Islamic Republic. Iran was a secular state. They could reclaim Iran and they could make it an Islamic Republic, but that was just the first step of the movement. The movement goes on. This was when you pray in a mosque in Iran somewhere, when you pray, you will see that the Imam at the end he makes dua for the Nahzat Khomeini. He makes dua asking Allah to keep it safe, to guard it, to protect it till the coming of Mahdi. It's said that Khudaya ta inqilab Mahdi az Nahzat Khomeini hifazat bi farma. So when we talk of the real substance of Iran-Saudi conflict, this thing comes up, the Islamic Revolution and the Nahzat Khomeini. And this, as you know, this happened in 1979. And as I said in my introduction in the beginning, that this has to be seen in three geopolitical contexts. One is the global. The global context is that in a secular world, in a world, if you look at it, if you thoroughly look at it, for the past 400-500 years, since 16th century, the civilization has been growing, evolving, and what it is directed to is expulsion of God, expelling God from public life. More and more secularization. So in a world, this is the French philosopher, late French philosopher Michel Foucault. He visited Iran during the revolutionary days with another professor, and then they talked about this, and that is now published in books. And Michel Foucault talked about what he saw in Iran happening. These were the days when people were coming out and they were saying, Allah Akbar, Khomeini Rahbar, and the revolution was on. That's a chapter of the. That's one of the. One of the chapters in the book, and he calls it, Iran is the spirit in a world without spirit. The world is all about material and matter. Iran represents a spirit in this, a world without spirit. So Iran globally meant a serious political and civilizational challenge. Political, economic challenges to the West's hegemony come from China. China is growing, India is growing. That's only political, economic. But when we are talking of the worldview, the civilization, the things which drive the civilization, when we are talking of those things, of civilizational, substantial things, Iran is a civilizational challenge to the modern world. It brings to the it brings forth and it brings to the front burner the spiritual essence of human being. Human being is not all about matter. Human beings are intrinsically, they are born with a divine connection. So Iran is a civilizational challenge, a civilizational and political challenge. Political challenge in the sense that it created a sort of anti-American politics, and different countries of the world, they started asserting their independence, and in the region, it was after the Islamic Revolution that politics of resistance started growing, like Hamas or Hezbollah, and then recently Yemen. Otherwise, there was a politics of subservience. Everyone in the American line and everyone trying to strengthen the Zionist entity. But now a politics started at the people's level. A politics started growing, which was opposed to Iran, opposed to America, and opposed to the Zionist entity. And this is usually we call it resistance politics, and it is now a powerful element in the Middle East. This was the global dimension, and in this global dimension, how the powers, how the status quo, how they decided to deal with Iran was one single thing: to isolate it. And I will talk about this isolation. This is a multi-layered isolation. And I will talk about it, but first, or should I say it now? I think Yes, let me say something more about this isolation. As I said, the layers of isolation. The first layer was Iran should be uh, Iran should be isolated as I said, in a modern world, in a secular world, this is a world of mullahs and theocracy and whatever names you give it. So othering it. This is something which is terrorism and mullahs and no freedoms. It was between the general people of the world and Iran. This was one. This was this was one line of the isolation. And then the other line was to isolate Iran within Muslim world, because if you isolate Iran on the basis of mullahs or religion or Islam, that won't sell with the Muslim world. In Muslim world, governments may be secular, but societies have not been secularized. Societies are very much they follow Islam. They are very much Islamic culture is there. So there was the need that this would not sell with the Muslim world. But so within Muslim world, Iran was isolated as Shia. Shia as in relation to the vast majority, and the majority of Sunnis, it is Shia. This was the second level of isolation. And the third level of isolation, not very much talked about, was since Shias are not only in Iran. Iraq is Shia. Iraq is actually it's the cradle of the Tashayyu. So Iraq is there. In Pakistan, there are a huge there are Shias and at so many places. So at third level, what was done was within Shias, Iran and Iran's leadership to be isolated as sort of heretics, that they are no more waiting for Mahdi, and they have taken charge. They have taken charge of things, and they should have waited for Mahdi. Now this sort of Shiism, once the supreme leader Imam Khamenei, he referred to it as British Shiism, because it is being promoted here in London, in Britain. The people, these groups, a year before or so, they raided Iranian embassy in London. They were Shias, but these who regard, they use all the bad names for Imam Khamenei, and their head is some Ayatollah Shirazi or someone, and they are making a common cause with the Pahlavi Shah's son, who is also Shah's son, and also the what are called the Mujahideen or the Munafiqeen Khalaq. They are making a common cause with the secular opposition also, and in opposing the supreme leader, and in opposing the system of Iran, the Vilayat Faqih. Or they are making a common cause against that. And this Vilayat Faqih, this Islamic Revolution and the leader, they are isolated on this basis, that they represent a deviant form of Shiism. And Imam Khomeini said that this is promoted basically by British intelligence. And so this is the how Iran, how they sought to isolate Iran as it represented a threat. How they sought to isolate it at which levels, from general world population, and then from general Muslim world, and then from the Shia world. This isolation took place. This isolation was, they sought to do it, and I must just add here, and we will be in a moment maybe saying something in more detail, but I must just add here that in the first isolation, that is isolating Iran on the basis of religion and mullahs and all this from the general people, Saudi Arabia's role was not pivotal, because Saudi Arabia itself was regarded as they don't allow women to drive, and it was itself regarded as a religious, some sort of religious state or whatever. So Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia was not pivotal in this, but in the other two, Saudi Arabia had a pivotal role, and the West, America, they could have not done it without the active cooperation of Saudi Arabia, and we will come to it in a moment. But let me come to this, what I was saying, the three geopolitical contexts. The Islamic Revolution meant what it meant in three geopolitical contexts. The first, I said, the general global, what it meant there. And the second one is what it meant in the Muslim world. And that's very interesting and important. The importance comes from here. See, this is the crux. This is the basic point. Where does the importance come from? The importance comes from that when Islamic Revolution happened in 1979, Imam Khomeini led it. Imam Khomeini and the founders of the revolution, they called it Islamic Revolution. And the state they founded, they called it Islamic Republic of Iran. And the constitutional posts they designated, the first was the supreme leader. It's not like Xi Jinping of president of China. It's not. Some people think the supreme leader is an official of Iranian government who is above the president. It's not that. It is constitutionally this position has been defined as the supreme leader of Islamic Revolution. So, what I want to say, and what is the point here, the very important point is that Imam Khomeini took a center stage, not on the stage of Shiism, but on the Islam itself. Imam Khomeini took the mantle of Islamic leadership. I mean, with the Islamic Revolution itself, the issues, the things which were brought up, which Imam Khomeini talked about. He talked about the downtrodden of the earth. He talked about the arrogant ones. He talked about how people have become arrogant and they are playing gods. He called them mustakbirin. This is a Quranic term, mustakbirin and mustadafin. So if he had boxed himself as a Shia leader and created a Shia state, there would have been no problems at all. Iran would have been given a space to unite Shias, to create to become a Shia superpower, and someone like perhaps Recep Tayyip Erdogan or Saudi Arabia would have been told to become a Sunni superpower, and things would have been no problem at all, nothing. In this geopolitical context, this is the issue, that Iran took up the mantle of Islamic leadership, and Islamic leadership it has to be differentiated here. I need to say this, that it could be talking about the Muslim problems, say. So many Muslim problems, and that's also sort of taking a leadership. It's not that. It was not that. What Iran did, it talked about the core issues of Islam. It talked about justice. It talked about Palestine. Although everyone else they talk about Palestine. That's not a big thing, but it talked about the creation of Zionist entity itself. So it brought up the core issue of adl. It brought up the core issue of justice, which is the core issue of Islam. So by taking up the core issues of Islam, it took up the leadership of it took up Islamic leadership. So this was the problem with the status quo of Muslim world. The status quo, they found it a threat, that who is this? How? Because it came from Iran. It's a minority sect, if I call it, just for convenience, I'm using these terms. From a minority sect, Shia, this revolution, and they are now claiming Islamic leadership. This was the problem. And again, here, what was needed, what the status quo thought, was to isolate Iran, that whatever they are talking about, they are Shias. And in this, Saudi Arabia was pivotal. And there's a lot of empirical evidence for this. They created groups, Daesh, you are aware of. They created groups before Daesh also. They created groups in Pakistan, other places, who would say Shias are kafir, and one who does not say they are kafir is also a kafir. So they, and there was a lot of bloodshed, and there was a lot of killings in Iraq, in Pakistan. So many Shias were killed, and so many terrorist organizations came up. And as Pakistan, they have Pakistani authorities, they themselves have said that none of the Shias were not involved in terrorist activities. Shias were always the targets there. So this was all a Saudi project. A Saudi, they did it. America could have not done it because America cannot issue a fatwa. Saudi Arabia, the religious establishment of Saudi Arabia, they have the power of fatwa, and they used it. I'm telling you very, with all the honesty and authority, they did it. They used it. They created a lot of fitna by this. So in that, as I was saying, the geopolitical context, in this geopolitical context in the Muslim world, Iran represented a threat to the established status quo, let us say, established leadership. And the third geopolitical context is very local to Saudi Arabia. For Saudi Arabia regarded Iran as existential threat. Existential means the Saudi dynasty, the monarchy, is felt absolutely threatened by it. Because there was a very prominent people's dimension in the Islamic Revolution and after the Islamic Revolution. Elections have been taking place in Iran regularly. People's participation, political participation. Now this is something which Saudi Arabia is trying to prevent. Because if it goes on, if it takes any roots in Saudi Arabia itself, what's the future of monarchy? And this is it can't be a monarchy as well as people's participation. And it's not a ceremonial monarchy. They are controlling everything. They have Aramco is the most profitable business in the world. It may not be the biggest, but no business, Amazon, Facebook, Google, all these big billionaire businesses, no business is as profitable as is Aramco. And this is all state. State means this is all dynasty. This is all Saud. This is all House of Saud. All this wealth, everything. So this is not a ceremonial monarchy. And now also this. And also here you can I should mention what happened to Ikhwan Muslimin in Egypt, because Ikhwan Muslimin, the Muslim Brotherhood, they established a government in Egypt. I think 2012 or 11 they established a government, but then the government was brought down by the military General Sisi, and it was all Saudi Arabia behind it. They gave money to Sisi, and they gave money to Sisi because they don't want an Islamic something, an Islamic political government or whatever with people's participation, because that goes against the monarchy. So in that geopolitical context, Iran versus Saudi Arabia, Iran represented an existential threat to Saudi Arabian monarchy. And to this you have to add you have to understand it with taking into consideration the recent things of Saudi Arabia. That is, by recent I mean in the recent years, since Mohammed bin Salman has taken over. Mohammed bin Salman is why I am bringing it up is because Mohammed bin Salman is a very clever and smart guy. Saudi Arabia before him had donned a mantle of a Muslim leader and very orthodox and women not allowed to drive, and it was funding mosques